to the right of the picture. Hello, Debbie.
Hi, Roy. How are you?
It's another day in paradise for me, Deb.
Yeah, living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream.
Yep.
So your Wildlife SOS. So first thing is, who are you?
Who
Why
are
are
you?
you here? And who should take notice? Let's have a quick chat
Okay.
about that.
Okay. Everybody should take notice because we all have a vested interest in saving wildlife, the planet, etc. I'm Debbie Haynes, Wildlife SOS. Had a very lengthy career in the corporate world until November 2019, when, having volunteered at Wildlife SOS in 2018 and never got it out of my system really, I'd given up my job in the corporate world, and out of the blue, Wildlife SOS had created a part-time role which somebody alerted me to and alerted them to me, and the rest is history, as they say. So it was one of those moments. It was like a dream job coming along. I mean, spent many hours sitting on the M1 and hating it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was you doing in your when you was volunteering that made you
Um,
think, wow?
well, I've always been passionate about animals, any animal, but elephants have always had a special place in my heart. I think it's because they are such huge creatures and yet so gentle, so intelligent, so vulnerable. And I think there's nothing more pitiful than when you see a huge elephant, especially a bull elephant, that, let's face it, could kill somebody quite easily. But they allow themselves to be bullied and beaten and pushed into doing things that they would never do naturally. Yet they kind of just take it with a resigned air about them. And I just think it's such a poignant thing to see. It's heartbreaking. And they don't have to do what we want, but they do. And it's wrong of us to ask them to do these kinds of things, any animal. But I think just because elephants are so big, and you think, why do you put up with that? And so when I went to Wildlife SOS, it was like a dream come true, helping chopping mountains of fruit and vegetable every day because they're quite fussy. They like their food chopped up and clean. So that was quite fun. We've got a blind elephant called Susie, who's got no teeth through previous ill treatment and malnourishment. So she loves nothing more than you have to mulch all her fruit up. So she absolutely adores that. So you spend many hours with your hands in buckets full of fruit for her. And getting their food ready, carrying great big bundles of scratchy millet around for them, putting it into their feed distributors, which are also like a game for them as well. Makes it a bit more fun, keeps them entertained.
And so you did all of that,
Yeah, I
and
did all that.
you came back home, sat on the M1, and said, "I've had
Yeah,
enough."
forget this. Yeah, so I did that in 2018, and then got sick of hearing myself moaning about just the corporate world and the state of the world and animals. And I'd kept in touch with Wildlife SOS and followed them closely on social media. And I gave him my job, gave up my corporate job in the July, went to France for a few weeks and was just thinking, okay, this is lovely. What do I do now? And then, out of the blue, in sort of end of September, got a phone call to say they were going to recruit somebody part-time in the UK to do awareness raising and fundraising.
Oh, great job.
Yeah.
Typical. You couldn't make it up. Amazon just arrived in the middle of that. So
I thought you were going to produce like a blow-up elephant then or something.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? So when we're talking about this, clearly something's going on at the moment. I mean, I guess these creatures take some money to look after. So what's going on this next few weeks?
Okay, so starting today, we've got our 8th online auction that we do once a year. We've got hundreds of things which have been very kindly donated by very generous people, including yourself, Sandler Trainer. We've got some fantastic stuff, works of art. We've got a kids art section as well. So there's paintings there done by children, models, clay models of some of the elephants. Lots of jewellery on there. There's holidays on there. There's some really fantastic stuff been donated. And so last year we raised $108,000 in the 10 days that ran, which was a wonderful thing because obviously COVID had just really started to hit home everywhere as of the March. Our online auction was in the May. We thought about, in the April, we thought about postponing it, but we went ahead and it was a record raising amount, which was brilliant. We've set our goal at $85,000 this year. It's in dollars because our team in the States kind of manage the auction. But we're hoping that we will pass that. We're also at the moment on social media. If anybody goes and has a look, they'll see the last few days we've been doing quite a big push for some critical X-ray equipment that we need. At the moment, we're sharing one lot of X-ray equipment between all the portable units. And those X-ray machines can make a huge difference when we're making critical decisions about whether an elephant especially can be moved. In the case of Emma, who we rescued at New Year, we knew she was in a lot of pain, but we weren't entirely sure why. The X-ray machine allowed us to see that she got lots of debris in her feet. So yeah, we're fundraising.
We're going to see some pictures of this soon.
We are, yeah.
But I mean, I'm guessing an X-ray machine from an elephant is no minor piece of equipment.
No, but these are the portable ones. Yeah, they're not cheap. They come in two parts. I'll just check the figures. So you've basically got there's a generator that has to go with it because our vets are out on the road. We've got 4 24/7 rescue teams as well. But when we dispatch the vets to go to like roadside things with the elephants, there's a generator which is just under $19,000, and then the actual image detection system is just under $40,000. So we've nearly raised enough for the generator, but obviously the generator without the actual image detection isn't a whole load of use. But yeah, it is critical because it allows us to make that decision as to whether we can move the animal safely or not.
Okay, well, we've talked a lot about elephants, but elephants aren't the only things that you guys deal with.
Nope, absolutely not. So we actually began our life back in 1995. We were known really for eradicating the practice of dancing bears from the streets of India. Our founders, Geeta and Kartik, worked with a nomadic people called the Kalendar people, who for centuries they practiced the art of dancing bears. That was how they made their income. They knew no different. Our founders, unlike other organisations, I think this is what I love about Wildlife SOS, their holistic approach. They went and lived amongst and got to know and worked with the Kalendar people for 2 years and got them to understand that actually there was a different sustainable way of living without abusing and torturing wildlife. And so over a period of 10 years it took, the Kalendar people actually relinquished their bears to us, which is a way better way of doing it. And in return for that, we provided education, training, skills and the tools for them to have their own businesses, which meant that they were happy to give up the bears. I mean, it wasn't that they don't love the bears. They actually really do. They're very attached to the bears. They just, that's all they knew. And so we've now got some of the guys have rickshaws, which are delivered to Wildlife SOS. We taught women skills. They now do lots of sewing and different skills, and they use recycled saris to make gifts and beautiful things for our gift shops and also stuff to sell at market. Some of them do candle manufacturing. So yeah, we've skilled them all, and we provide education now to over 6,000 children, 5,000 families in 15 villages.
I mean, that's got to be a big difference to them. You know, say, well, you know, probably doesn't make sense to continue this, but it is your way of income. Here's how we're going to help you to make a living without this, so they don't drift back.
Yeah, absolutely.
That way of work. And that, I think that's the big thing, the bit that I really liked about this. Again, the complete approach. We look after the animals, but we look after the people who need a living, because, you know,
absolutely.
Many of us don't understand that you know, every penny counts, and if the bears don't dance, we don't get to eat. And,
that's exactly it. And if we were to just go and take the bear, all they would have done is gone into the forest and poached another bear cub. So it doesn't achieve anything. And it's like at the moment we actually rescue. We get called out to a lot of rescues involving leopards. And leopard cubs. The government had quite a big initiative going back a few years for more sugarcane to be grown. And what then happened, of course, they are getting rid of the natural habitat of the leopards, so the forest, to grow sugarcane. And then the mother leopards are going into the sugarcane fields to give birth. And then you've got the mother and the cubs in the sugarcane fields. Of course, it comes to harvest time. And the inevitable happens, and you've got leopards and cubs and people all running around in circles screaming at each other. And typically, you know, previously they would probably have got killed, or people pick the cubs up and move them. So we run we run a lot of education projects with the villages, the village elders, and we train people so that they become like the rangers, and they're trained not to do that, and they're trained either to call us in certain situations, like when leopards are stuck in wells. But when there are cubs involved, they now know, don't touch them, don't pick them up, don't handle them. And we have a really, you know, high success rate of reuniting the leopard cubs with their mums as well, which is just brilliant to see.
I can tell you, very much enthused with what we do here. I just like, we're going to see some of the pictures of what you've been talking about.
Yeah.
I was looking at, we've looked at Bid to Be Wild. We've got the 8th annual auction. I've put a link in the chat.
Okay,
So
brilliant.
If you want to go to the auction, click on there.
Yeah.
I've also put a link to the website address. Have a look around. Some beautiful pictures. Some lovely stuff going on there. wildlifesos.org. It's a cracking website. I want to talk about National Geographic Wild.
Okay,
or as they call it here, Jungle Animal Rescue. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so well, we've worked with National Geographic. They made a series about us, which you've just mentioned. So it goes under, a couple of different names, but it's actually streaming again at the moment, I think, on Disney Plus, and on Sky. You can get that. So they made a 6-part like documentary series. It was a bit Americanized, I think it was, but it actually, they go out with our 24/7 rapid response teams on rescue. So you see the complete cross-section and variety of work that we do and all the projects we're involved in on that, whether it's birds that have got caught in kite wires and are slowly roasting in 48 degrees heat unless we go and rescue them, to leopard cubs in wells. Yeah, the whole thing is on there. So it was really good, really successful for us, that series. It's just a shame that it wasn't shown on mainstream TV. You can't see it on, mainstream in the UK. But it's been televised up most of the world, I think.
I can see some animals.
Yeah.
We've got Operation Elephant, Safe and Sound Leopards, with some pythons sprinkled in there.
Yeah, pythons. We rescue loads. We've actually got a Facebook page, just Wildlife SOS Reptiles. And some of the pictures there on the snakes and that are absolutely amazing. We've got one member of our team, and he's just an absolute genius where snakes and reptiles are concerned. He's not scared, in he goes. But the worst thing we have is that the crowds of people. We have to do crowd control, because when there's a big snake and we get there to try and do a rescue, they obviously all want to point it out and shout and scream about it and stuff. So just making sure that everybody's safe, and then going in, we make sure the animal's okay. If it's damaged, injured in any way if it's been in somebody's house, for instance, they can get trapped behind various things. We make sure that they're okay, and then we'll go and release them as close to where we think they came from as we possibly can. Our aim is always to release into the wild if possible. The problem we have with things like the bears and the elephants is they're too badly injured, both physically and mentally. And with the leopards, if we had one where it's got its paw stuck in a jaw trap, that can never be released back into the wild again. It's too badly injured. So it'll then live out its life at our leopard sanctuary. But where we can, we'll always release them.
I did see a python rescued from the Taj Mahal.
The visitor centre. Yeah. And we've had snakes in priests' moped engines. We had a very large monitor lizard behind somebody's fridge freezer, and I think that got phoned in as well. I've got a dinosaur in the house. So we receive something like 10,000 plus rapid response calls that we go out to
every year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we don't get any funding for any of it. So obviously all this is in the community. It's mostly it can be schools, anything, houses, the lot. Fields. If somebody sees a cobra or something, they'll call us to go and sort it.
Gosh, 10,000. What's that? That's what, 30
about 800 a month. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
can see we've got tiger's tail on there. We've got monkeys. We've got jackals, hyenas,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
quite a few
the
hyenas. Yeah. Sorry, say that again.
bare necessities at the last episode.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've got some. You've sent me some pictures, something to
Yeah.
share with people, and what we've got here. And certainly the first few are about an elephant called Emma. Tell me
That's
a
right.
little bit about Emma while I just put some of the pictures up.
Okay, so yeah, Emma is our latest rescue. We actually dispatched our team on New Year's Eve last year to go and get Emma. We've been alerted to her by the forestry department. She'd actually been confiscated for her owner because they believe she'd walked over 500 kilometres without any official documentation. And she was in a very bad state. As you can see there, she's got heavy loads on the top of her and their spines aren't built for that. Um, Both of her front legs are sort of, yeah, have been so badly injured that they're no longer the right shape. They're all deformed. And I think you've got a video as well somewhere where you can see that she's constantly picking up first one for front fore leg and then the other one. That indicated to us that she was in constant pain with both of those feet. It's not normal for an elephant never to have both front feet on the floor at the same time. And that video, when we put that out on social media, we saw a huge increase in donations when people saw that, because I think we can all identify with the kind of pain she must have been in.
Mm.
So yeah, she's 40 years old and all she's ever done is be used as a professional sort of working begging elephant. This is, we dispatched a couple of people, a vet, one of our team, Mahima, went, they flew to where she was because she was in such a bad state, because it was a 1,100 kilometre trip to go to her. So with our ambulance, that was going to take a couple of days. And you can see there the state of her foot pads, they're all cracked. They shouldn't look anything like that. And she was just lying in her own feces in the sun, in the hot sun. And yeah, she was in a pretty bad state. So our guys got to her and started to make her stable. The dish you can see there is the debris that we actually removed out of her front feet. And that was just while we were sort of still, not even back at the hospital. That was pre-rescue.
Oh. So
Yeah.
I've got some happier pictures here.
Yeah, she's much happier now. So this was just 2 weeks after. So she got back to our Elephant Hospital campus, which is near to Agra in Mathura. She got back there and we started work on her, let her just have a big relax, a big sleep, and just get her trust. But we started to work on her feet almost instantly, getting the debris out. And she has several foot baths a day to try and help remedial foot baths. But this was Emma a couple of weeks later, looking much, much happier in far more natural surroundings. And you can see that the paint, the decorative paint that would have been all over her trunk and her head, make her look attractive and get people to donate money to her when she was a begging elephant, is now started to wear off as well. So yeah, she's looking much happier. And Emma's, she's a real character. I can't wait to meet her. But Emma just sleeps wherever and whenever she can. Nearly every video you see of her on our Facebook page and that, she's having a lie down. So when they take her out on her walk, she only goes for short walks at the moment, but if she can find a nice mud bank or a sand bank or anything, she just has a nice lie down. But this is in the first few days when we got back to the hospital, and she's lying there on, it's like a rubberized floor, so it's kind to their feet and their joints. And the animal carers had made her some pillows out of, Hessian sacks that they'd filled with fodder and stuff. And she soon made herself at home. And then when she's asleep, she just twirls the pillows around and destroys them very nonchalantly. But she's caught everybody's hearts because she's just always to be found having a nap, which I think after 40 years of constant, traipsing on hot tarmac roads, I don't think any of us can deny that luxury.
No. So I've got Polly coming up now. Tell us a
Polly
little
the bear. Yeah, so Polly's been with us 18. She's 18 years old. She's been with us some time. So again, Polly would have been a dancing bear. The bear facility is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they are, yes, in enclosures, but the enclosures are huge. And I have been there myself and painted some of these enclosures, and the bears have a great time. They've got trees, they've got enrichments to climb on. We give them constantly different enrichments to play with. When it's Halloween, they have lots of pumpkins all dotted around the place that have been cut into pumpkin faces, and we fill things with treats for them at Christmas. So the bears are very well looked after, and many of the original owners of the bears do actually still work as the carers for the bears, because obviously they know them very well and they know how to handle them. But yeah, I mean, we rescued over, I think it was about 1,500 in total, but we've still got more than 300 bears. Most of them are geriatric now. The only younger bears we get are due to poaching, where mum's been killed, poached, and the cubs are left behind.
Yeah. So we're going over now. I can't quite make out what they said, but it looks a beautiful cat. What's the story behind
So
this?
that's a leopard that had actually fallen into a 45-foot deep well, and we got called to it. And this is quite common. The wells are open. They're quite big diameter-wise. I think about 15, 20 foot in diameter, and obviously very deep. And very often the leopards, and especially leopard cubs, fall into these wells because there's no protection around the tops of them. And so, yeah, we have all manner of clever means of rescuing them, whether it's that we lower down something like you see here, a platform, and they know instinctively to, that this is going to help them, and they'll clamber onto it. And then there are like the wooden sort of cage effects that we can drop down as well if it's a dry well. And yeah, we'll do whatever we need to do. We'll be there as long as we need to be there. And yeah, it's a lot of manpower and it's a lot of man hours as well. And some of these rescues quite a distance away. But yeah, it's amazing that they don't tend to be that badly injured when they've fallen into these wells, to be honest. So most of them get released into the wild. We might take them back to the hospital and just check them over.
That's a thing of beauty. We've got Maya and Pool Carley.
Pool Carley, that's right. So yeah, so they are in the river there, which runs alongside the edge and through where our elephant campus is in the Field of Dreams that the elephants are in. So the elephants have got access down to the river, and obviously they love it. So yeah, Maya and Pool Carley, they now have actually been introduced to Emma. So Emma, for the first time in her life, now knows what it is to be a proper elephant and to be in the company of elephants. And so the three of them now have formed. They're in the early days of forming a nice little herd there. So we keep the elephants in quarantine when we first get them, for medical reasons. And Emma couldn't be in with elephants that were going to be too boisterous. So some of the younger ones, like we've got Peanuts, and because if they're boisterous and they bashed into her, they could really hurt her legs because she's quite fragile in that sense. So yeah, we'll have them in quarantine for a bit, and then they'll have them as neighbours, and they'll be able to see each other. And then we make a decision as to who we'll put them in with to form a new family herd. So that will be the first time she's had a family, basically.
Oh, so again, one of the things I was particularly interested and excited about was the new approach of we don't just take these methods of earning money away from the locals. You help them to get something. And I've got some photos here you've given me. Just explain to me what's happening here.
Yeah, so with the rehabilitation project that we do with the Calendar people who previously would have had the dancing bears, and so they go through training and education, and then they'll be given whatever tools they need to get them started up in their own little business. So see, with the cycles, it could be rickshaw businesses, they could be making like pots, pans, candles, all sorts of things. And one of the other benefits of this is that it keeps families together as well, because the men, when they were practicing with the dancing bears, they would potentially have been away from home for 6 to 9 months of the year. They'd have been on the road, traveling, earning a living. Whereas in this way, the family's all kept together and dad's at home with wife and children. And the nice thing is that through this as well, the children have all been educated, including the girls, and all the women have been educated. When we first got involved with them, women wouldn't have been allowed to go to market and sell products that they'd actually made. The children, the boys would have actually done it for them, or the men. And now that's absolutely fine. They make cricket balls, all sorts of things. Yeah,
So looking at
it's
this
a
next
lovely
one
project.
bringing up.
Yeah, so the ladies with their sewing machines, yeah, and they there's a community sort of, I was going to say building, yeah, a community building where they can go and do this, and they use upcycled saris. So they make all sorts of things, beautiful bags. They make little embroidered elephants, which I've got quite a few of those. They make gorgeous little Christmas decorations. All sorts of things, and we sell them in our gift shops at the sanctuaries, and we also sell them through our website as well. We're just in the process of a new merchandising website, and there are some of the calendar items in our auction as well this year.
That'd be good. So about 600 items or 628.
Yeah, there's a lot of items on there. There's things on there from anything from maybe $10. The things that tend to attract the most money are the bells, the elephants' bells. So elephants, when they are being used for ceremonies or as begging elephants or anything, they have bells around their necks. Now it's something that the elephant will have been used to for the whole of its life. So when we get them, although it's a cruel thing to have on an elephant, it's a bit like a comfort blanket to a child. So if we were to take that away from it too quickly, you're taking away that comfort blanket. So at the point where we feel that the elephant now trusts us and it's feeling at home and it's in a much better state psychologically, then we do a ceremony, which our founder Kartik likes to go and do, and we remove that bell, and then we auction those off, and they do attract quite high bids. I think $6,000-7,000, because they're such a sign of that elephant finally having its proper full freedom.
Okay,
Yeah.
so last picture before we finish. We've got a couple more minutes. Tell us about this, and then we'll just remind people of where to go.
Yeah, so the bear rehabilitation, the previous bear owner rehabilitation program, and once the guys have completed that, then all of these people that you see there would have previously been the owners of the dancing bears, and that's how they would have made their living. And then they have rickshaws, which are liveried to Wildlife SOS and our work, and they now run sustainable businesses with the rickshaws. So yeah, so it's just that whole holistic approach, really, as I said at the start, is what drew me to Wildlife SOS, because we can all show pictures of animals in a terrible state and get the money pulled in that way, but I think people want to know where that donation's going. They want to see an end result, and with Emma we can see her complete journey. We'll keep documenting that, where she's at.
That's lovely. So just remind us of the website we've got to go to find out about the auction.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's Bidding for Good. So Bid to Be Wild auction. But yeah, the platform is Bidding for Good, and then you go on and you can search auctions there, Wildlife SOS.
Is there any other way?
Yeah,
you donate?
Yeah, they can donate via our Facebook page. There's lots of different options. You can donate in all sorts of currencies on there as well. Corporates can sponsor animals. We do employee engagement webinars as well. It's a great way for us to spread the word. So if any corporates out there are interested in either sponsoring an elephant, a bear, a leopard, or doing some kind of employee engagement or fundraising, then contact me, Debbie at wildlifesos.co.uk. Or you can go to our website and you can donate from there.
This is good. I'm finding great toys here.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's very impressive across the bottom there, Roy.
Here we
Excellent.
go. Last one. Let's see if we can show this one. There we go.
There we go. That's the donate page. Yeah.
That's the donate page. It's $15.29. Thank you very much. Is there anything you'd like to say in the last 40 seconds before we go? And first off, I'd like to appreciate you for coming along. Thank you for coming along. Love the photos. Keep up the good work. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish?
Thank you very much for having me on to talk about the work that we do. And once COVID sort of retreats a little bit more, then our centres will be back open for volunteering as well. So if anybody's dying to go out and help clear up elephant poo and chop fruit and veg, then yeah, we'll be open for volunteers as well, which is an amazing experience.
Sounds wonderful. Debbie, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Roy.